Happy, I almost got to remember what day it is. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Another impromptu Midnight Express. Once again, whenever I have a couple extra, you know, points of energy, I like to give it to you guys because it's just basically the same type of conversation I would have if I were here in person with geeks. So, like I said, this is just something I felt like doing tonight. Probably only going to be about a half-hour show. Nothing really more to cover. There was an Ant-Man trailer. I really enjoyed. It's one of the few Marvel movies that I am really looking forward to seeing right now, mainly because it has one of my favorite all-time Marvel comic book villains in it, and King the Conqueror. Uh, by the way, one of the criticisms I got last night when it came to exploring just how the whole Netflix thing happens, a lot of people brought up confusion. We're about to enter King the Conqueror, whose very existence is far more confusing than anything I explained and laid out last night when it comes to DC and Netflix. If you can understand what King the Conqueror is in all of his forms, you can understand what I was trying to explain last night. Also, like I said before, we're about to dive into Secret Wars, which is a clusterfuck that includes variations of characters throughout the last 20 some odd years, possibly, and variations of characters that we've never seen on screen yet, all coming from possibly different universes to be consolidated possibly into one. And you know why that might work? Because the people delivering that message are going to make it work. So when you hear people say that's just going to confuse plans, that translation, the person delivering the message is a fucking dummy. All right. It is their job, no matter what it is. I don't care if you're selling Legos or movies. If your audience is confused and it's your job to sell them on it, you're a fucking fool who can't do their job. So the risk of something being confusing is the lamest ass excuse I've ever heard. And that is the failure of the messenger. If Marvel can put out Secret Wars and jam up every hole with characters from all over the place on the heels of introducing one of the most confusing characters to follow in comics, then guess what? Your fan base isn't stupid. All right. And I think that's what one thing that DC Comics and DC Films have done over the last 9 years is they've taken their fans for fools. They've held back from doing things because they were afraid of confusing people. Well, if you're afraid of confusing somebody, you need to fire people. All right. Because you're supposed to have somebody in there that does the TED Talk. All right. Your customer will go where you lead them. And if they get lost, you're the idiot with the map. You're the producer. You're the showrunner. You're the studio head. That's on you. All right. But your fans aren't just a bunch of, brain dead idiots, doing sign language trying to figure out what's going on. They'll figure it out if you allow them to. So, but yeah, Kane the Conqueror, like I said, just the mere existence of Kane the Conqueror on a large screen and all that involves that particular character eliminates anything about confusing a customer. If they can buy into that, they can buy into anything. And what I explained last night was nothing in comparison to what Kane and all of his, different alternate reality persons and people are. And then go into the fact that you're going to unravel the entire multiverse to consolidate it. That sounds confusing as hell. But if you deliver it right, it won't be. Let's say hi to the chat. Yeah, I was right on time because I was just sitting here deciding whether I wanted to do a show or not. How you guys doing? Darth, thanks, William, for doing these Midnight Express. They're yeah, like I said, I work all day, but then you get home and it's like you think you're gonna be tired. And it's that last, when you're running, you're doing something, that last burst of energy that just makes me want to do it. And like I said, if I can do anything, I can run my mouth for at least a half hour. So is Ant-Man going to be portrayed as a dimwit like he was in Ant-Man? I don't know, man. I don't think he was portrayed too much as a dimwit. I mean, he's not the original Ant-Man who is a genius. I mean, so like comparison, I guess. But from the trailer, it looks like let me rephrase that, because the trailer, he looks like he's getting fooled by Kang, while everybody else in the trailer is like, don't trust him. So, to be continued. Hey, William, can you go into King? Like, how does he compare to Thanos? Okay, so Thanos is a moron. All right, Thanos is a love-driven moron who makes horrible decisions based on passion. He's not calculating anything. All right, he's one of the dumber major villains out there, to be honest with you. And the way he gets defeated is laughable. I think Tigra beat Thanos with his little crappy helicopter that the Thanos on the side. Thanos didn't become a major enemy until Ron Lim and Jim Starlin took over Silver Surfer in issue number 34. When they did that, Starlin bought back Thanos. Thanos has been dead for years. At the end of Adam Warlock killed him, but since Jim Starlin was being given a cosmic character again, he wanted to bring back these characters, and that's how Drax came back to life, because Drax was dead too. And Kronos, who is the leader of the Eternals, said, if Thanos is back, then I have to bring back Drax to counter him. What had happened is Death had brought him back to eliminate, which is what he did in the movie, half the universe. And that was his aim, but he was doing it to please Death, not because he was some calculating guy that said, you know what, there would be less suffering if he didn't give a fuck about any of that. He was willing to wipe out half of existence to please Death because he was in love with Death. That's what Thanos was. Kang is a whole nother level. Kang is brilliance from different timelines. The Kang that we are going to see in the movie is Nathaniel Richards from the 30th century. He is immensely intelligent and he's immensely powerful. He is intelligent and powerful enough with his gadgets and his creativity to the point where in different realities he's killed whole teams of Avengers. And then you have to think about all the other variations of Kang, like Immortus, and the one who remains. These are guys that are down there. And then Rama Tut. Rama Tut is the one that goes back in time and discovers Apocalypse. So on an intelligence level, to me, it's like comparing a college grad working on their PhD to a kindergartner. So Thanos has, without the gauntlet, Thanos is nothing. He has the normal powers of an Eternal, but the technology, the thousands of years of technology advantage that Kang has at his disposal, and the ability to travel through time, makes him a much more dangerous foe than he could possibly be their most dangerous foe, due to the fact that he's faced them. When he faces an Avenger, he's probably faced that Avenger throughout time, so he has an advantage on anyone he faces. So I'm gonna go. I think Kang is top of the line, and I don't think Thanos is. All right, don't think hashtag to sell Snyderverse. It should be Lisa Snyder from that. Yeah, I mean, something like that. Like I said, and like I said today, because I got into a chat back and forth with a lot of people, I'm going to bring up a term that I cannot stand. All right, when somebody says false hope, first of all, it's just another fucking term that people just jumps out of their mouth that they don't know what the hell it means. False hope, what I explained last night was a logical path to a news item that had been brought up. And my only thing is that when something like that is brought up, you start by following the money. Does it make logical and financial sense for all parties involved? I was able to explain how it did last night. I was able to explain where the revenue would come from, where Netflix's justification would come from, where Warner Brothers' justification for doing it would come from, why it will be worth it on the back end, additional revenue, additional a whole bunch of other things. In my opinion, during the hour and a half that I was on last night, I was able to give you a roadmap to, if it were to happen, all while saying that it could never happen, but there is a logical pathway to it happening if parties involved decide. That is not giving false hope. False hope is if I say, guys, this is going to happen. I'm hearing it's going to happen. It's going to happen next week. It's going to happen in the next month. This is definitely going to happen. No, I don't know how many times do what we discussed last night where I told people that if this were to happen, and this is all hypothetical, I gave you my opinion that I think this is the way it should go, but I also disqualified myself and said I'm not in the room. But when you're talking about a company like Warner Brothers Discovery that is trying to manage debt while drawing revenue, you have something on the table like that. If it were to happen, that is 100% profit. All right. And then I explained last night why there wouldn't be that type of confusion that people seem to think there would be. First of all, you're dealing with existing IPs that are already here. We're not introducing anything. See, what Marvel is going to be doing, they're going to be introducing IPs you've never seen on screen before. All right. And then meshing them together. That has more potential to be confusing than letting you know what's going on and giving you a logical end to characters that have already been around 9 years. You're not introducing anybody. And there's no competing with what you would be doing with Netflix under what I was telling you last night, because one of the things I mapped out is a limited scope that is coordinated between the two, a limited licensing agreement to where that thing fits in, because competing with, listen, the genie's out of the bottle. We're 80 years away from having, we've been having multiple versions of these characters on multiple platforms forever, and nobody's brain exploded. All right. So as far as that being confusing or being competing with each other, no, because it's still a DC brand. And you'd fill out a limited partnership and you said this: we're going to give you 6 episodes to do this. We're going to work out the financials. You guys are going to be the production ending, and we get cuts out of all the extra added on whatever, plus any theatrical release if it goes that way. And we leave the door open. So if this is a knockout hit, we'll do other things with you guys. Because here's going to be the thing. While James Gunn is building his universe, there are going to be things that he wants to do that he cannot do or cannot get justified by Zaslav or shareholders. I'm going to give you an example. I'm just going to roll something out here. Polka Dot Man. James Gunn thinks he could do a one-shot or a limited series about Polka Dot Man. The Rise of Polka Dot Man. I'm just joking, but I'm just throwing that out there. He brings back to David Zaslav and says, hey, boss, we're going to do Polka Dot Man. David Zaslav is going to look at him and right below and say, you know what, that sounds like a cool idea, but I can't go to the stockholders, I can't go to the financiers and say, let's put in even $90 million on a Polka Dot Man. However, if you can find another platform to do it, you can go ahead and write a script, executive produce it, and sell that license to Netflix or any other person for that matter. And if it takes off, we've written into the deal that those are still our characters. You're getting, as Netflix, you're getting the benefit of having those characters in there. And in that format, you can continue with that character for the durations of our contract. But when that contract ends, that character is ours again. But we will work out deals with you with other characters and other things. That allows him to experiment with these things without putting the liability on Warner Brothers Discovery. The production costs go to someone else. And it also opens the door for something that's going to be very important going forward in Elseworlds. If you can break in the door with other companies to handle and pay for and take the liability of your Elseworlds while you're building your universe, simply for financial reasons, Amazon, these other guys are doing the promotion, doing the production costs, so you can focus on your core universe. But I think there should always be outlets for other creative freedoms. And if you're not everything needs to go on the big screen. Some of your ideas can be fleshed out on some of these streaming services. And if they get popular, renegotiate and go from there. But I think that some of the reasons I've been hearing why that couldn't happen were quite frankly ridiculous. A lot of it is based on opinion and fan logic. And I started, just like last night, I started with the money. Remember what my hashtag is, just take the money. All right. You're Warner Brothers. You can put yourself in a position to where you are taking a check and not writing it and reaping off most of the benefits from it. So, yeah, however they want to do it. Once again, it can never happen. But if you're going to say something is not going to happen, don't give me some bullshit reasons, based on your fandom and your corner of your own mind. Give me some logical, mathematical reasons why it can't happen. And if you can't do it, just say that, in my opinion, it ain't going to happen. But, don't try to come at me and tell me that I'm giving false hope when you can't even give me a reason why this logically couldn't happen. or anything else for that happened. We said this years and years ago before the Snyder Cut was announced, that there were logical pathways to get that done. And there always were. And one of them ended up happening when HBO Max was created. So if you can't give me a business reason why something can happen and it's just laced on your opinion, then just admit it's your opinion. That's fine. Hunter, you William Powell, don't forget DC and Marvel live in the same earth, and don't forget that Red Tornado beat King. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of it's going to depend on who writes these things, too. No, I actually, be honest with you, Steve-O, I thought that trailer was kind of perfect. It gave me enough to know that there's a enemy like Kang involved, and he is exploiting the grief that Scott has gone through with missing his girl growing up and all these things that have happened. And there is, like I said, I thought it was near perfect as far as getting me going for what's coming up next. So Thanos is he really is. Dude, the clown kept around his burnt up, half dead granddaughter for a trophy while he wants to merge and overtake eternity. Well, the damn gauntlet just drops to the ground. She picks it up and undoes everything. 2 years of storytelling just for you to be an idiot. Starlin never meant for him to be a mastermind. He was supposed to be a flawed character that was in love. And that was the deal. And they never really, when the Infinity Gauntlet got out of control, he becomes this mastermind. I'm like, what? So yeah, I've always had issues with Thanos, and the further he gets away from Jim Starlin writing him, and that's why it was so cool when that original storyline that took place in the early 80s. Once Starlin wasn't writing the Avengers, that particular storyline, he killed all those characters. He killed Pip, he killed Gamora, he killed Adam Warlock, he killed Thanos all in one fell swoop. And those characters did not come back until he was writing again in Marvel. So, how you doing, Zeno? Fun. Hey, William, is there a DC equivalent of Kang? Ooh, wow. Not really. There are characters that can travel through time, but there are, I don't know. There might be one I'm missing, but he's unique in that he's several different people throughout time, and they're all coming to a certain point in time. So I've always considered Kang to be unique amongst comics. I can't recall anybody that's the equivalent. That's just me. The HC is still available. One thing I would say, Integrity, is I don't think it will be a 2 and 3. What I would do, and if like I said, hypothetically, if I were in the room, I say, hey guys, you get to use these characters, give us your pitch. Our final thing comes through James Gunn so that, if he needs to, he can line this up with his thing as possible. But there are certain parameters. You get 6 episodes. And I would tell people, because a lot of confusion, because I guess people didn't watch the show last night. I would lay out parameters that this ends. This is where this ends. All right. We are marketing this as an ending to this universe, and we are promoting the beginning of that one. All right. That gives closure. That puts something out there that for everybody who's Snyder fan or not, people who bought into your original vision, that gives them something to go home to, and it gives your brand new customer, something to grasp onto. Because like I said, I want this guy watching my IPs everywhere. And even if he's watching it on Netflix, I'm getting paid for that. And guess what? At the end of that agreement, once that license expires, I don't have to renew it. Those characters still belong to us. And if James Gunn helps out and executive produces, DC owns that interpretation of those characters. So I think it's a win for him. I don't know if Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 is in there. I think you just come up with an amalgamated storyline that covers all the bases and brings all those characters to a final closure. And you say that from day one. You're transparent with your mission, that we are here to provide resolution and end this, and give you a slide right into what James Gunn's doing. Because when people come into James Gunn's universe, eventually they're going to take that slide right back to these older IPs. You're making money with both hands. And people, when you come up with these opinions and these criticisms and you say that this can't happen, you're not even asking yourself why. You know, you just saying something's never going to happen is bullshit. Come up with I need to see the obstacles, the realistic obstacles that are going to stop it from happening. And if you lay out reasonable obstacles, that's cool. But if I'm saying something, what have I ever said that something is going to happen just out of my ass without ever giving you guys a logical pathway, financial viability of how it could happen? And that's all I was doing yesterday. I wasn't saying that it was definitely going to happen. I'm just saying, hey, if that kind of news is out there, it's worth exploring, and only a fool would be dismissive of that possibility. Jeebus, how you doing, sir? Just take the money. But yeah, just take the money. See, this is the one advantage fans they have is they don't have to think about the financial aspect. Just take the money. Just take the money. When toys are getting made, McFarlane gets a deal together because he likes doing that stuff. No matter how limited the series is, you start doing McFarlane toys, you get a cut. You put it out on physical media, you get a cut. If for some reason you and Netflix decide, you know what, it's Academy Awards, so we want to get special effects awards and all this for this. We want to get it nominated. We're going to put it in theater. You get a cut. You get a cut of everything. Netflix gets the boost because if they're going to drop $450 million on Glass Onion and shit like that, nobody knew the fuck that was before those two movies came out. People know who Superman and Batman are. So if that was worth, if they found benefit in that, they can definitely find benefit in this. So, hey, it's not going to happen. More people like Red Letter Media trashing that Snyder Cut. Jeebus. Those aren't reasons for it not to happen. Once again, if you're going to tell me something's not to happen, I need real reasons. You guys got to start speaking my language, logic and reason and money. All right, it's not going to happen. More people like Red Letter Media trashing the Snyder Cut than them tweeting sells not. You're not doing it for them. You're doing this because money. It's a transaction that gives you 100% profit. You don't have to spend a dime. All right. And you're creating platforms to license out things that you are not going to do. You are not going to continue this. But there's no reason for you to not make money off of it. And at 6 episodes, there's no conflict. Your shit is over with while his is going. So once again, if you guys are going to tell me something's not going to happen, I need more than this. And first, like I said, I'm not knocking you, Monkey Jeebus, but this is what I've been getting all day. We're not doing it for a particular group of fans. Business first. Money first. A profit without expenditure, you got to do that. If the opportunity is there. I would. Not saying that they're even at this stage. This would be just a rumor. This is just a hashtag. But it came up. And like I said, you can't, in order for you to dismiss this in hand without thinking it through, that's the kind of logic that cannot be at the executive level. That kind of logic has to stay at the fan level. But who I'm addressing is the people who would be spending the money. I'm addressing the shareholders. I'm addressing Netflix. I'm addressing Warner Brothers Discovery. That's who would be making this decision. And when they make their decision, this stuff like here, the hashtags can't necessarily be a part of it. Probably can't be a part of it at all. Can we make money off of this? Can we expand our exposure to these characters? Can we make money and recycle income that we already have? We already have these movies and IPs out here. Can we get something that polarizes and generates revenue? Those are the questions. Before you get to restore the Snyder anything or this brand of fans or this guy on Twitter, before you even remotely think about those guys, you start thinking about those bags of money first. Revenue generation should be the first step of whether you would ever entertain this or not. Not your opinion, not what you think about shit. Nobody fucking cares about that. None of our opinions keep lights on. Revenue does. All right? So start with the money first. Is there a financial, viable, logical pathway to this? Not how you feel about it, whether the money adds up. And if it does, then it's a possibility. Not saying it's going to happen. But all this other shit that people are seeping into the decision-making process, that has nothing to do with anything. Money is the primary factor. These people are in business to make money and make money for their shareholders. All right, talk about another subject, William. Do you think Bret Hart is the greatest wrestler of all time like I do? there's a lot of aspects that would go into that. I think Bret Hart is the greatest technical wrestler right now. If I'm not adding any of the new generations, but there's a lot of things that go into being the greatest wrestler of all time. I would pick Ric Flair above him on several different levels because not only could Ric Flair wrestle, Ric Flair could promote both himself, he could promote his opponent, and he could promote entire companies. I mean, Ric Flair could carry any company in any territory, and he just wasn't. He would do the things necessary to sell his match, whether he was winning or losing. He didn't care. He carried that feud to Ricky Steamboat. He instructed Ricky Steamboat on how to do things. And Sting, he carried these guys, and he understood the business better than any wrestler that ever lived. So, physically in ring, yeah. I would put Bret. That you could make the case for Bret Hart right there. But as far as overall greatest of all time, it has to be Ric Flair for me. He just means too much to the business, and has meant too much to the business, both in ring and out of the ring, and just as an aura himself. So, yeah. Time Trapper. This is how you could do this, by the way. The Time Trapper is an underused character that I don't think has ever been used on screen. And by the way, timing of this, let's say we did this. Time Trapper takes that piece of the universe that you guys want to preserve. The rest of it gets reformed into what James Gunn's doing. So at some point in time, schedules, whatever, you could get to that. All right. Because just like and if you're going to say that's confusing, then there's so many things on TV right now that are far more confusing than that. All right. And there's a precedent for that because it happened in the comics. People say, oh, keep to the comics. Okay, there you go. The Time Trapper took the part of the universe that Superboy existed in while the rest of the multiverse was consolidated and reformed itself. All right. Because he needed the Legion of Superheroes to exist. And they existed because they were inspired by meeting Superboy. So if Superboy doesn't exist, there was no one to create Superboy or the Legion of Superheroes. It found the Legion of Superheroes. He needed the Legion of Superheroes there because there were more powerful enemies that he used them to position them against. Mordu the Mystic, Darkseid of that era. So without them weakening his enemies, he wouldn't have been able to become as powerful as he needed to be. So Time Trapper is one. I've been saying Time Trapper for a long time. Good point there. Monarch was you're talking about an answer to that question. Okay, to the question of if there's a Kang, I wouldn't put Monarch on that level. I mean, Monarch is kind of a copy of Kang, but not really because the diverse personalities that Kang would be. Even though the Time Trapper and Kang could technically be anybody, or Time Trapper and Monarch could definitely be different people. Like Hawkwood's the original one, but depending on where they are at in time. Whereas, I don't know. These are good. Time Trapper and Monarch, I just wouldn't put them at the level of Kang. Maybe I'm biased because I grew up understanding Kang, and Monarch didn't come about till 1990 in the Armageddon storyline. Time Trapper's been around forever, but he was never that kind of being. He was a villain, but you always understood that he had seen everything that was going to happen, just like Immortus, but he had different motives. Time Trapper is more intriguing than he is a villain. You'd have to read a lot of the Legion of Superhero stuff. If you ever want to get a good idea of the Time Trapper, read Legion of Superheroes Volume 3, issues 36, 37, and 38. That's the Death of Superboy story. That is where they, right after the crisis, consolidated all the Superman stories to where John Byrne came out with his Superman stories. You have Action Comics 591, Superman 23, and it's where Superboy from the Pocket Universe comes back to the new Smallville that our Superman exists in, and he beats the hell out of them because they had depowered Superman when John Byrne redid him, and that's how you discovered that the Pocket Universe had been preserved. So read those if you guys get a chance. Netflix just buy. I don't know. I don't know if they need to buy Warner Brothers. To be honest with you, I don't think Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has 2 years before they can legally be up for sale anyway. So I don't know. I know everything about Marvel and DC Universe. Do you? I don't think you may. I mean, I've been reading comics for a long time. I don't know everything about the Marvel universe. I mean, things change, and there's some of the shit I forget. I mean, I've been reading since '82, so there's somebody who reminded. I was on the stream the other night. Somebody reminded me of something that I completely forgot, but that's a lot, dude. Who would win on a one fight with Darkseid and Kang? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm talking Thanos. No, Darkseid would annihilate him. Darkseid would annihilate him, and there's nowhere in time that I think Kang could go to get an advantage of Darkseid because he's an immortal. He's been around forever, pretty much, and he's literally has the powers of a god. And I don't think Kang will be able to outsmart him like he would be able to outsmart a lot of different people. Integrity 101, damn. That's fine. I was never looking for 300 nights. Just exactly. That's all I want. That's all personally I would want it for. And like I said, not just for me, for the people who will come to who will be on your, on your platforms in the future. It's like a museum piece. You don't want to, missing pieces in your mosaic, Darkseid would crush him because Zaslav isn't going to hire a gun and reboot just to have it given. No, you're right, but that's not what I'm saying. You're going to go forward, and guys, you may not be getting a reboot until we hear what he says, because like I said, there's a lot of shit floating around that certain things may be kept and this and that. We don't know shit yet. But even so, let's say he does do a reboot. You're talking about 6 episodes. 6 episodes. And the way Netflix does shit, you'd get them all at once. Or you'd get them in 2 different, stagger, put a week or 2 in between, like they did with Trader Team. We're talking about 6 episodes that you are marketing as a closing door. That's it. We're not talking about an entire universe that runs alongside what he's doing. We're talking about a pocket thing that is unto itself, that has one sole purpose, and that is to complete the story that was done. So that way you have that completed storyline for a whole bunch of reasons. Right? It's not going to go on past 6. That's it. Now, if James Gunn somewhere down the line wants to do what DC did with that pocket universe and consolidate it back into his thing and destroy it at that point, that stuff's already there, though. If he wants to say, I'm going to send a Flash back here and that Flash wipes out that universe, or I roll that universe, because he'd have the right as executive producer of doing it. But no, we're talking about something very limited. I say 6. That gets all the story out of the way. That puts a bow on it. And that allows you to reference everything that you've done from 2013 with the completion. And you make money. So no, the reboot, stupid, I hate that fucking word. But the reboot would have nothing to do with this. It would have no bearing on this, and this would have no bearing on it. So there's no reason why you could do it like that. And Zaslav is a money guy. He answers to people that are money people. So that's keep that in consideration as well. Why would people watch a new Justice League in theaters when they have one on Netflix? I am not talking about a new Justice League on Netflix. I'm talking about the resolution to that story that was started in 2013. All right, for the same reason that they're going to go see the Flash, the same reason why they watched all this other WB stuff and stuff on all different platforms, and it didn't stop them from going to see the movie. All right, I mean, so and to answer your question simply, it's 2 different things. All right, when they do something with him, he's going to do something with Batman. You're going to literally have 2 Batman probably going together on the screen once this is all going. There's no reason for them not to. It's not. You're literally now. I would understand what you're saying if we were introducing these IPs for the very first time. I'm talking about existing IPs that have been around 9 years. So that genie's already out of the bag. All right. So those characters are already there. They've already been watching those characters. So what you haven't done is given them a resolution. But there's no, like I said, the simple question is the one that he's producing is different than the one that you'd be wrapping up. And like I said, this isn't forever. This is a limited project. This isn't Elseworlds. That's it. The same reason why people don't stop buying Batman because Gotham by Gaslight came out. The same reason why people didn't start buying Superman because Superman Red Sun came out. You know what? People have more than one, a couple inches in their brain to be able to entertain different things. And that's what they need to do. Then one of the things that DC Comics hurt themselves with is they tried to consolidate their universes, their rich history that a lot of people bought into and were entertained by. You consolidated shit and gave a composite something that people didn't like. All right. So you have a rich history with DC and being able to go a lot of different directions, one-offs, standalones, combined universe. Don't be so quick to give away that diversity. That's something Marvel does not have. That's an advantage. All right, did yesterday's stream get spicy when promoting the Netflix idea? Nah, it's just I've ran into I get messages and stuff like that, and everybody wants to give me their reasons why it can't happen, but nobody's giving me logical reasons. People are giving me bullshit reasons. People are giving me their gut feeling reasons, and that's fine if you guys have those. But if I'm going to lay out a plan like I did for an hour and 37 minutes last night, then if you're going to tell me that something's not going to happen, I need more than a whole never do that. Well, why? And think out your answers. Don't just blurt out some bullshit. Because like I said, I didn't blurt out bullshit for an hour and a half last night. I literally went one step at a time to how something like this could happen, fully recognizing that it may never happen. And every reason that I've heard has just been driving me crazy. I'm like, you guys you're using that fan logic that does not apply to this situation. Fan logic is great. I'm a fan, but that does not apply to ventures like this. That does not apply to making business decisions. That's why fans are fans and the business people are business people. All right. So if you're going to say, in my opinion, it's not going to happen, that's fine. You're qualifying your statement. But if you're going to attack mine and try to say, well, it will never happen, when I just gave you a lot of reasons that you can't refute that why it could, you're just going to have to do better. I'm sorry. You're going on numbers of people I'm not even factoring into my reasoning. All right? You're talking about hashtag people and people online. When I explained what I did last night, how many times did I mention hashtag them? The only hashtag I said is take the money. When I speak, I'm not giving a fuck about the online community, even though I'm part of it. When I'm talking about what kind of a decision someone who is paying bills would have to make, I'm not thinking about the 3% of the online community. I'm thinking how I could sell what we were talking about yesterday to a general audience. I don't use hashtag numbers and I don't use online community numbers to justify what I'm saying, because I know for a fact, we've discussed this, what percentage those people are one way or another. I'm talking about the general audience, giving something for the general audience who has seen these movies, who knows there's no closure on these movies, and you're using major IPs that you already have casted. So it's not to waste what you've done, because that's what you're about to do. You're about to waste what you've done. And here's an option for you not to. And it makes financial sense. You're in business to make money, right? Not please online community or one way or another. Give a fuck about trolls, and I don't give a fuck about the extremists. I'm talking about the people who are the average moviegoers and the people who are watching shit on Netflix right now. And these are major IPs. Netflix, it spends a ton of money in shit that no one's ever heard of. This for them would be great. Everybody involved at the table with me, I think they should do it. Now, when people say, oh, you're giving false hope, no. Giving an explanation how something could logically happen is just that. So your numbers that you're bringing up, Jeebus, do not apply. They were never a part of my explanation. And if whoever's making the decision, those numbers should not be a part of their decision one way or another. If they decide not to do it or not to even entertain the online and the hashtags and all this other stuff, that should not be a factor. All right. The financial viability is in how much revenue you could generate based on what your investment. And for WB to license it out, they get a check right out of the door right there. That's profit. That's your main reason why there. Marcus Cruz, Ant-Man 3 is going to be amazing. Yes, I do. I am looking forward to it, not in the same way I'm looking for, Across the Spider-Verse. That is my most anticipated movie of the year. But Kang is in it. If you could have put Kang in Groot, A Love Story, and if Kang was in it, I'm there. So there you go. Reboots truly are inevitable. Do it right. It's going to take 10 years for another JL film, or they're going to start with a Young Soups and the rush to a JL. Sound familiar? You know what? I don't even think that what he's doing is not, is going to fail, as long as he has the backing, from the corporate partners to do it. It's just the fact that no matter what he does, you have the elephant in the room, and that elephant says you can't finish shit. All right? You literally have an elephant in the room with a big sign on its sign saying incomplete. While you are asking me to buy into this new thing, you are asking me to make another investment into you when I got this big elephant in here reminding me you didn't finish the shit that you started. And that's not a Snyder fan. That's not an extremist. That's not anybody. That's Joe Average. Joe Average knows when you didn't finish something. He doesn't have to be a rocket science to know. He doesn't have to be a rocket scientist. He doesn't have to be the guy online making threats and doing stupid shit. But the Joe Average is the most dangerous liability you have, because he doesn't make noise. He doesn't get on Twitter. He's not here on YouTube. He just disengages and says, "Oh, that again? Ooh, it's confusing. Where's the Superman? Wait a minute. That's not the Superman I saw in the movies a couple years ago. Wait a minute. That's not the bat. What? You know what? This is just all too much. What's this thing over here?" And that's what they do. They disengage from your product. And if they disengage in that manner, they're going to disengage. They're never going to engage James Gunn's product. They're never going to give that product the light of day, simply because your brand with them is something that never got finished. That is the biggest gap that you have. No matter what this guy does going forward, the average fan is like, wait a minute, why is there even another Superman? They don't have to be a comic book movie goer to know that, to ask that question. And when they start asking that question, they start being reminded of, oh yeah, let's go watch this other thing. So that's why you do it. So yeah, you just have to have the right reasonings. The profit is there, especially for Warner Brothers Discovery. Monkey Jeebus, if the profit was there for them to lay out $450 million for a Glass Onion franchise, that wasn't necessarily a blockbuster at the box office, then the money, the justification's already there for Netflix. The profit is there for Warner Brothers Discovery, because that's literally what they license. That's somebody paying them for the use of their characters. And when you make that licensing agreement, you are the one that are covering the production cost. All right, you are licensing this IP to do certain things with it. You are paying for that. So Netflix is paying the production cost. Netflix has the money. People will tell you Netflix is broke because they're $12 billion in debt. They've been $12 billion in debt for a long time. It's called manageable debt, because the people who own the notes and own their debt know that Netflix pulls in enough money to where they would never be in a position to not be able to pay that back if those debts were called on. So Netflix isn't broke. They just spent $500 million on Light Knives Out and Glass Onion. And these are not household names. So Netflix knows where their revenue streams are there. And once again, Warner Brothers Discovery is literally just taking a check. And they would get a cut off of the other backdoor deals, figures, merchandise, anything that comes from it. Physical media release. When you put it back on TV, Warner Brothers is going to own those rights when they decide to charge ad revenue. So there is profit in there. Okay, dude. I don't have a lot of oxygen left. I just explained to you exactly why it could be. And I explained to you last night how it could be. You're going to have to explain to me now. I've given you the ball and told you what I've got to say. You tell me now, and you break it down into finite numbers, how it couldn't be profitable. That's all I'm asking. It's there. I mean, automatically, the day you sell the deal, Warner Brothers made money right there. As soon as you agree to the deal and Netflix buys it, you made that money. So, like I said, once again, this could never happen. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying, for anybody to blatantly dismiss it, that's foolish to me. Okay, if nobody wanted, that tells you that they wanted him. They're already working with him, and there's profit there, Jeebus. Like I said, I don't want to. Red Letter Media enjoyed the Snyder Cut. Said the writing, action, and humor was way better. They even apologized for saying, sorry, I got such a raw deal, Zach. They just didn't like the prologue. And like I said, feelings aside, money. If I'm WB, just look at it from WB's point of view, solely from their point of view. All right, they just purchased a company that has as much debt as the company is worth that they're working down. And if, like I said last night, if I'm your shareholder and somebody puts a deal on the table where you can make 100% profit off the transaction, and you don't entertain that, we're gonna have to have a shareholders meeting. You know, it's just, and those shareholders are not comic book fans. Those are a bunch of old people with a lot of money in hedge funds. Snyder fans were never issued. Studio incompetence was the issue. That's 100% true. In China, Zack Snyder Justice League Endgame for the most watched movie. That says a lot. And like I said, there's a whole lot of other numbers that make sense for Netflix. Like I said, if Netflix thought worthy to spend as much money on some of the IPs that they have that nobody knew prior to them hitting the screen, then you have something like this. Even if it's for a limited amount of time, that still gets people's eyeballs on your platform. You know, it's just money, man. Fourth was there with me last night, if you're talking about last night's video. But Monkey Jeebus, Spider-Man himself spins this night. Okay. I don't know when you're messing twice. I don't know what's going on here. Seeing it twice, they hated the Joss Whedon version, calling it the writing trash and making it fun of the humor, which we all did. You can make all the excuses you want. Snyder versus Dead. Once again, I'm having a business, common sense, and logic conversation. I've given you no excuses. I've given you legitimate pathways. So, yeah. I mean, I can only have this conversation can go two ways, but you got to have something to add to it, man. Sorry. Zack Snyder's films were very successful. Anyone with 5 minutes on the internet can go debunk that bogus BS narrative. Yeah, I mean, math always wins. All right, guys, math is undefeated. Math has been winning before we knew what winning was. All right, nobody beats math. Trolls don't beat math. Fanboys don't beat math. Scientists, everybody drops down on their knees to math. And the math was there. Yeah, I mean, like I said, odds are that this isn't happening. But like I said, the reason why I brought it up last night and I brought it up today is every time something comes up, people find the dumbest fucking reasons to dismiss it. All right, this is just one of them. But whenever there's something comes up, when it comes to these mergers, reboots, and anything else, when something is either going to happen, people have stupid ass reasons why they're going to happen. When something they say is not going to happen, they have even dumber reasons. And I think I'm getting a little bit annoyed because I think that's what inflames the online community. People just blurting out shit without leaning back in their chairs and thinking, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at the pros and cons. No matter what it is, no matter what the movie is, what the project is. People are just ready to use their keyboard tank to shoot down things without using that same keyboard and that same screen to maybe look into something. Look into some of the precedents that are out there. Look into some of the money that something made. Look at some of the reasons why something that didn't make money. You know what? If you're going to sit in front of the computer and spout out bullshit, use the same fucking computer to do some of the research on it. The same mouse, the same keyboard, the same screen can be used to get research and analyze things. That same thing that you're using to basically shoot down things without any research at all is the same one that you could do to voice your opinion. That's all I'm saying. Woo! Yeah, Brick Player, baby. Aquaman 2 is the Flash ending we're getting. You don't know that. None of us know that. Who is your source? If it ain't James Gunn, it ain't shit. Good or bad, whether we want to hear anything or not, if it's not James Gunn, it ain't shit. I don't care about the trades. I don't care about a scooper. I don't care about a community of scoopers. I don't care about Grace Randolph. I don't care about anything. If it's not James Gunn, it ain't shit. And he's giving us riddles. I'm going to probably have to, like I said, start to decode the stuff he's saying. He said just enough to debunk most of this stuff, but he hadn't said anything like that. We're still wondering what kind of Wonder Woman we're getting. Monkey, okay, he's asking Monkey Tree Biz. I don't, like I said, you as a fan can be over it. Me as a person who's thinking money, I'm not leaving that money on the table. Fuck that. You never need to get over that type of failure if you can do better. If you have the wherewithal and the ability to do better and make money off of it, you don't need to get over shit. Make your money. Solo wasn't horrible. KK let Lord Miller shoot them, fire them, and had Ron Howard direct another movie. Yeah, I mean, rather than give me a shiny new Blu-ray, conclude our universe by giving me back to square one again and ask me to start over and care when they never completed. Yeah, and like I said, Integrity 101 is a fan, but I hear this from the general audience. And that's where a lot of these guys who say move on don't realize the general fan, he will move on, and it'll be to the detriment of DC and Warner Brothers. You don't want that. I know movie guys that are in the industry and said no way they don't even care about Superman. Care about money. You don't even care or like superhero movies. If you care about money, then you will adjust your thinking. That's, All right, guys, that is 53 minutes, and I'm looking forward to doing part 2. Yes, I am. And you know what? That's going to be a dead tie for me between Dune and Across the Spider-Verse. Dune was amazing. Dune, Denis Villeneuve was just, anything that guy does, I'm in for it. I might even go see a human interest movie or a romantic comedy if Denis Villeneuve does. I don't think he'll ever do it. I think he loves this genre, but man, he knows how to tell a story. Actors would cost too much. Netflix doesn't spend as much as it would take to do Justice League. Dude, they just spent $450 million. They overpaid for Glass Onion. All right. They, like I said, and you also have other people who chip in money as well. Most movies, the studios don't pay for movies, by the way. And other production companies and other financiers like Legendary, when they were doing it for them, Legendary puts 75%, the bill. Now they get paid back, but movies are made on borrowed money, and all you have to do is work back the payback schemes into the thing. So Netflix spends a ton of money on things. They overpay on a lot of things. This would actually be something that they would get their money's worth on because it's a known IP that already has a following. All right, let's see. All right, William, Netflix giving $100 million to Prince, Carrot Top, and Meghan Markle. But see, they did that shit though. They did that because they could justify it to their stockholders, and it worked. It worked. You know how many people watched that? I think it's absurd, but you know what? Hey, so they have a history of spending money on things that they think they can get a return on. I mean, that's, like I said, full disclaimer, guys, this could never happen. Most likely would never happen. All I'm saying is that I think we should get out of the business of saying things can happen or not happen without, at least thinking about it. All right. Too many people say, well, that would never happen, and then give me nothing but vomit about why it wouldn't. Take the time. Use that internet for something and go look at some shit, And if you're going to come back to me and say, well, this isn't going to happen because this wouldn't happen, and these are the logical obstacles, and this amount of money here wouldn't justify this, and this, and if you start laying out tips, maybe I'll give take a listen. But I haven't heard one good case today for it not happening. Now, the real case for it not happening is that the parties involved just don't want to do it. That would be the majority, the biggest threat you would have for something like this never even coming to fruition is the people involved not wanting to do it. Not that it cannot be done. All right. Because if Zack Snyder or whoever he puts out of Throne Quarry wanted to do it, they could do it. If Warner Brothers Discovery wants to do it, they could do it. If Netflix wants to do it, they could do it. Now, the desire of the parties involved, that's your major obstacle. No one's brought that up. They brought up a bunch of dumb shit that has nothing to do with whether a project like this or any other project can get off the ground. And that's what happens. Something is brought to the table on a subject matter, and every reason that has nothing to do with whether that project could go forward or be killed ever gets brought up. The bullshit machine starts spitting out bullshit quicker than logic can get spit out of anything else. And like I said, nothing I've heard today, nothing, not one damn thing, would be a relevant reason why this wouldn't happen, other than the fact that the people just don't have the desire. That's a legitimate reasons, but that's like hasn't been brought up. And people's time and schedule and all that. Like I said last night, you literally have people whose job it is to put that together. Don't even worry about that. So, like I said, William, I am the general audience. Ridiculous decision in the Snyderverse is why I put my hat in the ring. There you go. Glass Onion is lower budget movie. Warner Brothers could lease out Justice League for it to even be profitable for Netflix. Yeah, they could. And $450 million is not low budget for shit. Even if you split that into two, that's not low budget. That's over $225 million per film if you do two more films. All right, that's not low budget at all. That's high budget. You paid for that IP. And Netflix has paid for a whole bunch of other stuff too. That And as far as yeah, they would. They've leased out characters before. Sandman is there. Sandman is a DC character. It's on Netflix. So I don't hate Gunn. I don't know if you're talking to me. I don't hate Gunn. I actually am a believer in that Gunn can do this. He can pull this off. I think that the odds are against him because if this is a reboot, most reboots fail. And right there, you're automatically, it's like a batter. No batter's going to bat 1,000, but you automatically have things built in against you. The fact that swinging at a small ball at 100 miles an hour with a round bat. So the odds are against him right off the bat because reboots generally fail. And there's not accidental why reboots fail. That's why I recommend against them. Now, if I'm hearing things right, and like I said, we don't know shit till he says shit, that it might not even be a complete reboot. So we don't know what the hell we're getting. So I actually am a fan of James Gunn. I think he is a brilliant storyteller. I actually think he could pull this off eventually. I just think there are things built into the way this is going down that are going to hinder his progress in doing so. But anybody who could make me care about Polka Dot Man he is good in my book. Anybody that can, put Starro on the screen and make that relevant is good in my book. Peacekeeper, which I had no desire for one way or another, he got me into that character, into the character development. So I'm a believer that James Gunn can pull this off. So I'm not a hater. So I think you might be directing that towards somebody else in the chat, but that's not me. And comparing me to Neurotic and Phantom Menace, I don't think I've ever exhibited that type of hate. I don't hate James Gunn. So I hope you're talking to someone else in the chat because I can't see everybody. All right, let's see. Yeah, and like I said, I don't hate James Gunn. So, okay, now you're just fucking with me, Jeebus. All right, I enjoyed Glass Onion. It was a fun movie, and it did catch some of the clues. Yeah, I haven't done Glass Onion yet. I did Knives Out. I've just been so slammed. I think after this week, after we get Project Ripper done, I'm going to take some time to just to binge watch. There's so much shit that I have to watch and movies that I have to see. All right, here's a problem. A lot of OG actors haven't gotten axed. If Gal and others finish their arc in the 6-episode miniseries, it may end their careers prematurely. It all depends. Okay, good point. And once again, all this is based on not knowing what James Gunn is going to do. He could come out with a tweet tomorrow morning that blows this all up and makes this irrelevant. But I don't know how long he's keeping some of the OG actors either. How are they just for their films? Are they? I mean, we don't know. I wish I knew. See, that would be another thing that would logically that would kill it. If he's deciding to go forth with some of these people, then it might be logistically impossible. But absent that, then yeah. Yes, you need to watch episode 6 of Reading Pod. Yeah, I'm a Tolkien hater, but I watched the first couple episodes, and the first few episodes I gave it a shot. I didn't dislike Rings of Power. His way of piecing together the story just turns my brain off. Sorry, man. How you doing, Jared? All right. Yeah, and here's Integrity 101. There's just a lot of history. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for me. I am super tired. I ran out of that burst of energy that I had. Thank you guys for coming in and just having a brief conversation. I just over an hour, which is 15 minutes more than I wanted to be, but the conversation was good, so we kept it going. So please like and subscribe to this stream, this channel, if you haven't already, and head over to youtube.com/@the-sci-fi center and subscribe to my channels. Once this next week is over, I'm going to be I may not be online as much because I'm going to be taking care of a lot of stuff that'll make my online experience better for you guys visually. And I got some other stuff to handle at the center too. So yeah, after my Ripper event, I'm going to be taking a small break. I won't go away completely, but I'm just going to have bigger gaps in between when I'm on so I can take care of some stuff that I've been neglecting. But thank you guys for tonight. Thank you guys for every night that you tune in. And Monkey Jeebus, I still love you. All I want is legit hardcore reasons why something can't happen if somebody's going to tell me that something's happened. And that goes for anybody that's been coming at anybody saying that'll never happen. If you utter the words that'll never happen and I hear them and we are engaged in the conversation, all I ask is that you give me the same forethought that I put into saying that something could happen. That's not false hopes. That's just logistics, man. All right, guys, hit the like button, and I will see you probably tomorrow.